here with Stephen Jeffress, who's just finished playing in the Indonesian Open here at Pondok Indah in Jakarta. And I'm just going to ask Steve, he's just come down and finished the tournament, and just ask him a few questions about his journey through his golfing career up to this point, and ask him some questions about what it's like playing on tour. So, Steve, how long have you been out on tour now playing? I guess since you turned pro.
Yeah, about 19 years.
Okay.
Just under 20 years. I turned pro in 1999, so just under 20 years.
Okay. And what was your first stepping stone? So, what was the first tour you got onto?
When I finished my traineeship, I went on to the Pro-Am Tour of New South Wales.
Yes.
I played that for about 3 or 4 years, and then I went over to America, played some gateway stuff.
Right. Yeah.
Some pay-for-play tours, so you put your own money in, and that's what you play for. So Laurie had to push me pretty hard to go there. So
Okay.
I didn't really like signing away my own money, but it was the best thing that I ever did for myself, going there early and putting your own money up. You really learn to play.
Right.
And then from there, I went to US Q school a couple of times. I went to European Q school, Japan, got my card. I come close in America.
Right.
Got my card in Japan in 2008 and proceeded to play on and off there for around about 7 or 8 years.
Okay.
And then played one Asia tour from about 2011 through to about 2016.
So, how many, attempts was it until you got sort of a main card to get you full exemption on the tour?
I think I went to maybe 2 or 3 USQ schools, and one in Europe, and I think it was my second time in Japan. So it took me, you can say it pretty much took me 5 or 6 Q schools to get a run.
Okay.
And the thing about that is it just, you got to learn, you got to do your apprenticeship at those Q schools. It's not just a matter of turning up and it is golf, but it does feel different. Right. Because you're at a different country, you're playing for a card, which is, if you don't get it, well, you've got nothing for a year. If you do get it, great. About 5 or 6 times, and it's hard yakking. Yeah.
And having feedback from talking to people from all over the world, for myself through our website, a lot of players, male and female, I guess, not really understanding how good their game has to be able to get on tour.
Yeah, definitely.
That's one of the things you had to learn and I guess go through.
Definitely, and that's where the Gateway Tour was great for me, is it taught me to keep going low. I think there's 2 parts of Q schools. There's the first part of getting through, which is obviously important if you don't get through the car.
Yeah.
But getting through is, I think, maybe 10%.
Right.
Of it. The next 90% is actually keeping your card. So just because, remember the first year in Japan I got through, the second year I was there, I got through, I played maybe 6 or 7 events. I made nearly all the cuts, but I'd finished down 40th, 50th. And then there was a re-rank coming up, and all of a sudden I looked, I hadn't made much money, and I really had to make a large amount of money really quickly to keep playing.
Yeah.
And I come close, but I didn't, I had a solid year that year, but I didn't make enough to keep my card. So I think there's 2 parts of Q schools. There's getting through, but there's also, you've got to be, once you get through, that's only a small step. You've got to get out there, and the thing about it, the guys out there are really good, whether you talk Japan, Europe, Asia, America, Australia, it doesn't matter, low golf scores are the key now. The young guys are shooting them, equipment's got better, technology's got better, and that can be not just, as in irons and balls, that can be how to read greens and green books and yardage books, and everything's got better, so it is really difficult to keep your card.
Yeah, and also talking to people as well, it's an area where I guess a lot of guys or girls don't think about is also the expenses of playing from week to week and from that year to year as well.
Yeah. In Japan, we basically it cost me about $2,500–3,000 a week to play. So if you, in a normal Japanese tour event, if you were to run 50th or 60th, you'd probably win $2,000–2,500. So you actually go backwards.
Yes. Okay.
And then if you have a couple of weeks where you miss cuts, it costs you that 2.5–3. You go backwards pretty quick.
Yeah. So,
and that's really hard to swallow sometimes, but it's part of it. But you've got to, it's really important to. That's why it's really important to stick in for the long haul, because those weeks, the once again Laurie's taught me for years and years ago, was that those weeks they're investments in your game. You can look at it as I've lost money. I played terrible. I've lost money. Or you can look at it and go, right, what could I have done better? All right, sure, I lost X amount, but to get that back, I've got to go the next week and perform.
Yeah.
So it's really an investment, which is hard to swallow when you first come out.
What do you think the mindset to be able to do that year in, year out, tournament to tournament, travel all over the world, compared to players who might do it for 2 or 3 years and give it away?
Well, I mean, you've got to have that word grit. You've got to have grit to stay out there, and that's probably the biggest part of staying out there is you've got to have grit, because you'll have bad times. You've got to have, and I guess the way you get grit is by working with people that have the knowledge how to teach that.
Right.
And people think they've got grit when they go 4 weeks and have some bad trials, have some bad tournaments, and then play one good tournament and they go, yeah, we're stuck in there.
Right.
Grit's when you get to a point where you might have played bad for a year or 2 years.
Yeah.
And I had an episode with myself where I tried to change my golf swing, which didn't work.
Right.
I thought I was doing the right thing at the time, but now if I could go back in time, I wouldn't do that. I had a shot that went left and I tried to fix it. What happened then is I started missing it both ways, and within 6 months I was almost not playing the game.
Right.
So, and I had a real decision to make then: do I keep going? Do I keep grinding away and coming out the other side, or do I give up? And I just kept grinding, and that's probably the big thing, and it's probably the big thing that the younger generation doesn't have as much of. And it's something that some kids do. You can see it in some kids, and then some kids you can't. So that ability just to keep grinding away and keep your goals in the back of your mind, and to know where you're heading, but also when you're heading in that direction, you've got to have people people like Laurie and Dave to point you in that direction. It's very hard to go there by yourself. A lot of guys think they can do it, they think they know everything, but it's not the case. You really need people to point you in that direction.
What are some of the danger signs you've seen, even talking to guys as well, that haven't been able to stick it out for as long as you have?
Yeah, well, I mean, changing swing's a big one. I've got a lot of friends that every month you speak to them, they'll have a new plan, a new angle that they're trying to get at, and I just don't. It just doesn't work. It doesn't work. You look at the best players in history. That's not what they do. They stick down the one path and they keep moving forward. And you look at great players in the past. You didn't bring Tiger Woods into it when he changed his swing. Things didn't go real well for him. Guys like Ian Baker Finch, a major winner, changed his swing. Wasn't long after that he wasn't playing. So the people that I know of, the changing swing is a big one, and I've had a lot of friends that they continually work on that sort of stuff, thinking that that's going to make a difference. And don't get me wrong, your technique's got to be sound, but
absolutely.
I was told once, the golf's 90% mental or 10% mental. So you can swing it any way you want. It's about what score you shoot. That's what it comes down to.
Yeah, for sure. And going back even to your early days, trying to get on tour, knowing what you knew, knowing what you know now, what maybe are things that you if we could go back in time, would be you'd do differently, knowing what you know, being out there for so long? Definitely
for me, having a plan and setting goals. When I first came out, I just played the Pro-Am Tour, which was great, and I played well, but kind of just went around and followed and played and won my money, and I did that for 3 or 4 years. Had my time again. As soon as I would have come out, I would have sat down with someone like Laurie and gone, right, where do I want to go? What do I have to do to get there? Ask all the questions that you need to ask yourself. And they're important questions. And Laurie still asks me questions now I can't answer, but that's great. That's the whole idea of it. If I went back, that's what I would do. I'd have more of a plan early. I did get the plan, but I was 5 or 6 years into it. So you could almost say I could be 5 or 6 years behind where I should be if I followed the routine. And once again, I thought, and this is a big thing in golf, I thought I was doing it correctly. I thought I was going down the right path. I was doing everything I should. But when I look back, I could have done better.
And you went to Asian Tour School this year, got your card again. And there's with the tours these days, there's so many coach-sanctioned events and things like that. Is it getting I guess, harder to get into some of the big events because of all those co-sanctioned events?
Asia is extremely difficult. I've played European Tour events, I've played nationwide events, I've played PGA Tour events. The Asian Tour, I think, is harder than any other tour to keep your card on.
Yeah.
I'll give you an example. The guy that ran 60th, I ran third at Q School at the start of the Asian Q School at the start of the year, tied third. So the guy that ran 60th, before I played my first event, he would have played, I'm going to guess, 7 events, averaging about $1 to $1.5 million an event.
Right.
My first 4 events, I played 4 $300,000 events.
Yeah.
Now I ran 60th in Bangladesh and I won $900.
Right. Okay.
So if you run 60th in the Maybank, which is $3 million, you're probably winning $6,000 or $7,000. So it's a massive difference. So the Asian Tour is the hardest tour in the world because you almost don't get co-sanctioned events. They're really important because it's catapulted a lot of guys into big events that they never thought they'd get when they win. But it makes it really difficult to play on an even keel, and that's what the guys, the young guys out here, I'm saying a lot of the Aussie guys, you've got to go out and play in these events, you've got to go hard, because if you can get over that line and get in the top 60, it's great. But if you're under that line, like the tour school guys, like where I am now, it's extremely difficult.
What was your first, I guess, big major event? What month was it that you got where the first event was? Big major event on the Asian Tour?
Well, once again, the Indonesian Open is the biggest money event that I've played this year, $500,000. So by memory, I played Bangladesh was the first event I think I played, and that was about May.
Right, okay.
So once
5
again,
months into the year.
5 months into the year, because all the co-sanctioned events are early.
Yeah.
May's the first one. I think I went May and event in May for 300,000 Bangladesh, China 300,000, Thailand for 300,000, Malaysia 300,000, and then here in Indonesia. So you start halfway through the year, and that's the hard thing about it. That's what I talk about getting a card. There's 2 parts to it. You get the card and you think, great, but now you're here. Now I've got to put my foot on the gas.
Right.
To by November or December, when the autumn round finishes, the events are running out now.
Yeah.
So I really got to go hard to get in that top 60.
So you're going back to Australia tonight. I guess what is the next few events coming up for you? What's the next couple of months look like?
Yeah, I'll spend a week at home this week. So I'll spend a couple of days where I won't touch clubs, and then I'll go through my stats from these last 3 weeks and sit down and go, right, what can I do better?
Yep.
What didn't I do?
Yes.
Where were my strengths, where were my weaknesses? I'll then work out a practice plan around that. Whatever part of that game that is, and then from there I'll practice back over to the Royal Cup in Thailand the following week, and then fly from Thailand straight to Fiji for the Fiji International. So there's a couple of big weeks there.
All right. Well, it's been great talking to you, Steve. One of our, I guess, goals at Pro Tour Golf College is to be able to educate young players, even older players as well, really wanting to go to tour school, be able to get on a tour. That there's so many different areas, as Steve explained. Probably I guess one of the easier ones is actually getting on tour, but then staying out there and being able to continue out there for a long time.
And that's where I think Pro Tour Golf College is really, really great, because the guys will tell you how it is, and I think a lot of guys are a little bit disillusioned with where they are.
Right. Yeah.
To move on, and you really need the hard facts. You might not want to hear it, but in the long run, it's really important. If you've got those hard facts and you go, well, you've got to get to this amount or this level to play there. When you know that, it makes things easier.
Yeah.
So that's where the guys there, they'll sit down, they do all sorts of programs, and they'll sit down and go, right, you've got to get to here, you've got to improve that. You've got a plan, you've got a path, off you go. So you can't do it by yourself. You think you can, but you can't. You really need to. You need smart guys to help you.
All right, beautiful. Thank you very much, Steve. Pleasure, mate.
No problem.
Thank you.